All right, so I'm bringing together the July 10th meeting of the Building Reuse Committee. This meeting's being recorded. For those who want to, you can join via Zoom. If not, you can watch this at a later date. It will be posted on the Lunenburg Community Facebook page if you want to watch it at a further date. So wanted to grab everybody, get together. I know we had a chance to meet a little while ago, discuss our thoughts individually. I had a chance to talk to Caesar. We are going to meet with the town, with the Board of Selectmen next Tuesday. Wanted to just get together, talk about, review what we talked about. I took some notes and just get your guys' thoughts if I'm missing anything and making sure this meeting is as productive as possible. So I am going to slideshow. Oh, that's not going to work. Okay. Let me go share a screen here. All right, I use bingo. Anything there that makes sense? Can you guys see what I'm thoughts from the community committee?
We see.
Okay, perfect. Well, yeah, I don't know how many WebExes you guys have done, but there's plenty of them where I think I'm babbling and I think people are hearing me, but nothing's happening, but that's okay. All right. So I tried to take down, we each had a chance to talk and I tried to take down a little bit of notes from everybody. Oh, hold on. I got Mr. Passios wanting to join. Okay. And I tried to just kind of make a quick, concise list. The thoughts that we have is, I planned on having it where we kind of did a quick presentation with these thoughts to the committee, and then mainly soliciting their opinion and their thoughts to the Board of Selectmen as to what they see as what the best path forward, more than anything else. Okay. So some of the things that I got down is, even with the price tag, more support than expected. I think it was a closer vote than folks expected when we all saw the $23 million price tag. But obviously there is support for doing something to, Town Hall, Ritter, or a town in general. We didn't really have the outreach we needed to the community. This was not only just where we talked about having tours or just in general, people only see what they see when they walk through the halls. They don't really get a chance to see what's behind the door or what the conditions really are in some of these buildings, especially the basement and the attic in Town Hall. Go to the BOS for their opinion on how we move forward. This project should be putting town's needs as a priority. This was kind of more of talking about PAC being thrown in at the last minute. One of the things we talked about was a long-term holistic plan is needed with prioritization on projects. We keep talking about one building or another. I think what I heard from the group was there's definitely sentiments in town of people getting tired of mothballing buildings, that we have to have a plan, a long-term plan moving forward. New school superintendent started July 1st. Is that correct? Did they start already?
Yes.
All right. All right. So
July 1st.
Okay. So yeah, give them time to assess the space needs. Excuse me. Right now, they're basically, I guess everybody's working out of Turkey Hill.
Yep. They took over some classrooms in Turkey Hill and shuffled things around. It's not ideal, but they'll make it work.
And as we know, nothing's ideal in this town right now. So it's a matter of how do we make things more ideal and what's the best plan moving forward. And then can ADA compliance and other upgrades be done via capital plans? So some of the projects might have been like, ADA, might have been the replacement of windows and things that we know we had to do, but to help with the cost of the project. Your guys' thoughts on this? Anybody? Are we okay with what we've done here?
Yeah, I really liked, Brian had mentioned last time, especially the zero entry sidewalk slope.
Yep.
I thought that was a really great one that we could get done sooner because that doesn't involve the construction as much. And I also very much agree with the community outreach thing. I think we need to sell it more
Well,
and talk more about what's going on in town hall as far as why this is so needed.
well, I agree. In fact, the fact of the matter is that the town, I don't think the town owns half of the ADA ramp today. The building next door owns half of the ADA ramp. Is that right? I think, Greg?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we found. Yeah. So, which is
Well,
almost more
not
ridiculous.
half, but not half, but there's a sliver over the edge. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's just say we don't own our own ramp. Let's put it that way. Completely.
It's not
Yeah,
complete.
yeah, it's not through the front door. I mean, it's not a ideal scenario.
Correct. And we're not talking about a building that has 12 stairs to get up to it. We're talking about like 1 or 2 stairs. So it shouldn't be that hard to.
No, it's not. And
Yeah.
you know, the thing that really, I shouldn't even say it, but you know, as I'm watching them pouring the new concrete, 2 years ago, I was thinking to
Yes.
myself, like we could be addressing this in this like for no extra money, very little extra money, So those are the kind of things that I think erode the town's goodwill with the public. It's like we have opportunities to get some of these things done and we didn't do. But that's all water under the bridge now. But I'm just I think that point is a really good one. Like, is there things we can plug into capital plan that are sort of low hanging fruit that we're going to have to do anyway? To sort of spread the cost out a little bit. Yeah.
Agree. Now,
Couple
so
things
go
regarding
ahead, Brian. Go
money.
ahead. Go ahead.
One was another option of, okay, can we make the project cheaper? Two, is there a way to reduce the size of the project? But also I wanted to add in too, at the past select board meeting, we talked about ARPA updates and how much the ARPA funds were spent. And under the building design committee, they had committed $185,000 to the project. And I guess there's 18,500 remaining. And I don't know if that hasn't just been billed yet, or if this actually we're under projected by 18,500. So that might be something we could check in on with the architect too. And again, that's that whole idea too of if there's extra money, can we actually get anything done?
So I'm sorry, you mentioned just reducing scope, reducing cost, reducing scope of project.
Yeah, potentially. And then also that there is right now, at least there's 18,500 still left in that fund for the municipal building design. But maybe that's something I can work with you, Dave, and reaching out to the architect to see if they need to invoice us still something, or if there's an invoice stuck, or there's actually still money left over.
Okay. No, I agree. Yeah, because it is amazing when you always tell them, these guys, how much you have to spend. The bill always comes to exactly how much you had to spend. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess in general, just I don't know if this is the right time to say this or not, but in general, at the select board I'm interested in determining a direction forward, and that we can all agree on, and then I want to just all agree and just do it. Like
Yep.
I feel like there was and I don't want to harp. I feel like there was dissent
Yeah.
among our own group, which didn't help anything. So I want to come up with a plan that we can all get behind and implement the plan. Like there's no plan that we're going to come up with. I just want to say this for the record. There's no plan that we're going to come up with that's going to be perfect and everybody's going to love. But if we can all get on board, and I think it needs to be with the select board, because they're our guiding
Yep.
group.
Yeah.
If we could just come up with a direction and just get on board and collectively take it to the town and do all the things that we're talking about in this list. I think your list is great, Dave. I think it captures what I remembered from our meeting a month ago. That's my what I have in my brain. I just, the one frustrating thing I had was that we just couldn't all get, it just didn't seem like we were all swimming in the same direction.
Right.
And I just, I found that frustrating personally, because I thought it was I thought the plan that we prepared represented a good, and I still will maintain, I still don't think it's too expensive. I still think that we were, whatever we were, 4 or 6 votes off. I think in a different climate, we got unlucky. We were unlucky with a perfect storm of budgetary crisis that befalled us. I think if we were in a different if that situation with the school budget had been different, I think we would have probably had a different outcome. And I think that your first point on this slide is correct. Like, I was very surprised that it only missed by 4 or 6 votes, whatever it was. That tells me that there's a significant amount of people in that room, which tend to be the people that, you know, show up for things and are plugged in, that think that, you know, there was a solution they could have got behind. So all that being said, I hope that we can really hash it out on Tuesday. And at least if we can't come up with the actual way forward, that we can come up with a plan for how we're going to get to the way forward.
Right. So how do you guys feel about the idea of, if the charge was more to look at more than just these 2 buildings, or just to start looking at the town in general, the town buildings in general, more than anything else? You know, because that's one of the things, right? We originally started off, we talked about Passios. And then when we talked about Passios, of course, everybody panicked as to what do you do with what's going to happen to Town Hall and Ritter. Then we talk about Town Hall and Ritter, and, you know, folks are wondering about this building or that building. And, well, I'm sorry, they made us talk about the Brooks House, of all things. And, you know, so I think we're, you know, it's either they tell us we have to do, we have a ability to talk about everything, or do they just, you know, is there a way of limiting it to just these 2 buildings?
Well, in my opinion on that, I do not disagree with the sentiment that somebody, whether it's this board or another board, should take a macroscopic look at all the town buildings we have in town and put together a plan. I'm not in disagreement to that. However, we identified, honestly, I can't even remember when this was, we've gone through so many iterations, but we've identified the fact that there's nobody on this committee or in town that wants to see anything other than a historically sensitive restoration of Town Hall and Ritter. So we have 2 buildings there that we know we're not going to remove or demolish or do anything other than keep them for town purposes, and we need to restore them. We came up with a plan that did that and put all of the town functions, plus some, in those buildings, sensitively renovated with some addition, with some thoughtfully, what I feel like were thoughtfully developed additions that accommodated the modern day needs of the town. And so we didn't even have to really worry about the other buildings. Like, you know,
Right.
like, I understand that we have Passios is out there, and we have a quite big, huge question mark of what we're going to do with the Turkey Hill School and all this stuff. But the advantage to this plan, in my view, and I've said this on numerous occasions, was that we found a way to put the program in 2 buildings that we know we want to keep and restore. And the plan delivered that, and delivered the town's program in those buildings, while allowing us flexibility with what to do with TCP in the future. You know, once we determine what we need to do with Turkey Hill. So, I mean, I see it as a real advantage on that front. I don't know. I mean, if the select board has if there's I guess we need to hear what the select board thinks about I mean, some towns have a standing building committee, and like building project, it's almost like an elected, it's almost like a board, like anybody else, like a conservation commission or whatever. And you know, all the building projects and all that town building infrastructure kind of goes through that board. I think Littleton's one of them. maybe we need to have something like that. I feel like that may be a bigger discussion than what we're prepared to do in advance of this project, but maybe it's something we need to do. I don't know.
Well, it's true in a lot of respects, because if you look at it, getting a town building passed is a lot harder than getting a school building passed. Through town,
It seems that way.
right? And I don't mean that in the wrong way. I just
Yeah.
mean it's a point of fact, and I don't care what town you are, it's going to be the
Although-
same. Right?
Yeah, you say that, but we did build a library and we built a public safety building, and
Correct. No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just,
Yeah.
I mean, I know that we have, and now it's time, maybe this is the phase that we do the town again, right? We did schools, then we did town, right? You did the schools, you did the primary school, then you did some town buildings with the public
Yeah.
safety and the library, then you did the middle high school. Now it's time to do
Yeah.
a town building before
Well,
we do another building.
My sense of that, and Laura or Brian can correct me if I'm wrong here. My sense in that is that I think that, 3-4 years ago when we first started this project, maybe it was 5. It was before COVID when I first started.
Right.
It was
2019
this thing.
when I started.
I think that the school committee initially were saying, listen, we want to see what the municipal design, what this committee is going to do before we start making plans for Turkey Hill. I think they went on record saying that.
Yes.
The longer we go with this process, that sentiment's probably going to go away if it hasn't
I
already.
think it was always,
They have-
is the ball going to keep moving, right? And if the ball
Yeah.
stops, then the ball stopped. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
moving.
So,
Carol phrased it as, we're waiting our turn in line, but
yeah,
if you don't take your turn, we're gonna.
can't
still
wait
be-
forever.
Yeah.
Which I do agree with. The Turkey Hill, whatever we do is going to take some time, but it's gonna end up interfering with whatever this is, which I'm wondering if we should definitely talk Tuesday night, if we should just bring the project as is back to voters in November.
Okay.
Special town meeting when school budget issues are not as pressing at that moment.
And
Yeah,
we
I mean-
could, because that would give time to educate folks better, so that they can understand more of what's going on. It also might give a chance for, who knows if the scope changes. I mean, as I said, I'll go on record. I know I've been on record already, but the idea of giving 900 square feet or whatever the magic number was to pack is utterly insane to me, because you're adding, at $400 or $500 a square foot. That's a lot of money you added for something that I don't see that pressing of a need for it in this town.
How much did it add to the project?
We'd probably have to ask the architect what the cost of basically what the cost of a full basement is.
Right.
So-
Okay, because I did think it was a clever use of space without adding to the bulk of the building.
It is, but it's going to definitely drive the cost. I mean, I don't know what a
Yeah,
full basement on
yeah.
the size would be, but it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be a lot.
Yeah. It's probably going to add, I'd say it added $500,000 to the cost.
At least.
Yeah.
At least. Yeah.
Not
The-
awful. Like, to be honest, that's not awful. And there was other space down there that was going unused that I think would have helped with the building in the future, as far as more flex office space. If we add departments at some point, that in the future, years in the future, because we're building a building that's hopefully gonna be there for another 100 years. So I liked the idea of the full basement. Not, PAC needs somewhere to go, but yeah, that definitely added cost onto the end, but it's not, we're not like talking 2 or 3 million.
Yeah, well, and again, we got direct feedback from the select board on that point.
Right. It wasn't-
Should it have come earlier in the process? Well, probably. And whose fault was that? I don't know, but
But
I just,
my concern with the PAC is we don't know about their long-term funding, so they might not be around after a certain period of time. If streaming moves away, it comes more and more, and their funding gets less and less. The other thing is that we have an underutilization of the current town hall. It's just going to be for meetings and a few other things. To me, PAC would be, if we got it, we could, renovate it so that it could be used for PAC. We have space there. First floor could be used for them. They said, I think we heard that they said, well, the floors are squeaky and so on and so forth. It's not good. Well, yeah, but we can put some screws to the wooden floors and make them less squeaky. So I think maybe relooking at that, and because our original plan was town hall, the current town hall would be meeting space, which, really is underutilization of a building. So if we could figure a way to use that and maybe make the Ritter building smaller, which would cut down our costs and our overhead and all the other stuff, that might be advantageous. So there's a couple of things we could talk about. I do think that the whole point of some of the people in town are like, okay, so if we do whatever we agree on doing, we spend $18 million on the renovation of these two buildings. Well, what about these other buildings? What are we, how much is that going to cost me? So I think when we do it, we have to have at least a plan of, okay, we don't know what the cost is going to be for the new Turkey Hill, or we're not sure, but here's a couple of things that it could be. What are we going to do with the other buildings? The primary school is 20 years old. Is that going to need a major renovation in the next 10 years? We should be thinking about these things now. And, even though we might not have hard numbers, we know that, we're going to need to put money into the primary school in the next, 10 or 15 years, maybe sooner.
So, Tom, on that point, that's one of those things, as we were talking before we started, these townwide assessments that we can get done through Mass Save or through the,
Right.
that's critical to me with that. So the fact is I would look at it as by fall town meeting, we would have, if we react fairly quickly by fall town meeting, we would have a full assessment of all the buildings in town as far as energy needs and what the systems and the age of systems and things like that, as well as for certain buildings, which would be 5 buildings, we could have a detailed assessment of actually lifespan and cost for upgrade for these things. Now, I know that doesn't take effect the whole building, but really, to me, the energy, the heating and cooling is one of the most critical items when it comes to cost in these buildings. And those, as far as things that go wrong, I should say, heating and cooling, type of thing. So I'm looking for that. I feel like we can be very prepared to present something for fall town meeting that would help set up the vote for Springtown meeting. If that would be the order that we would do things, or would we want to be presenting at fall town meeting, bringing this thing to fall town meeting if we brought it up again as is?
You're a lot more likely to get a yes vote in November, are my feelings.
Okay, so we'd still have this data, but it would be a matter of how well we can do a community outreach to get that data in front of everybody.
Yeah, but I also liked Tom's point about the utilization of space.
Yes.
And to reconfigure that and get cost estimates for that. I don't know if we could do that with if we have the 18,000 left in ARPA funds. Because I do agree with the underutilization of space, and maybe we move some offices back to downstairs at town hall.
Well, actually, the feeling is that, as far as PAC, there is a want for a certain space, but there is just a need for some space. So even if I said the first floor of town hall or half the first floor of town hall is for PAC and they say we don't like it, well, in a way, that's what you have. Now, do, you know, that nobody in this town is getting everything they want.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant, was going to
Yeah,
maybe taking a harder look at the space that was allocated to every department and going in for a very, very bare bones one where we keep some town offices at town hall. We're moving away from the unified town hall.
yeah, so the sentiment we had was that, well, at least I have, is that the whole idea is to have a unified town hall. If I'm gonna take things out, I'm gonna take things out like, such as a PAC and things like
Yep.
that.
That might be a
Because
question for the
it makes
select
more
board, right?
sense.
Do they want to relook at the objectives and the direction that they want us to go? Do they want us to go with a smaller version or a
Yeah,
smaller
I think,
for the new building?
I think engaging the new town, you know, Jen, the new town manager on that, we gotta all remember, we had this plan worked out when she was starting.
Right.
She had zero input in this plan, and I think that her voice, at least me observing her for the last, since she started, I think her voice is going to be extremely helpful.
Yeah, because I remember too, this was kind of Heather's idea too, of trying to get the former town manager, trying to get all of the offices in one building. It would be
Yeah,
with the new
yeah.
town manager.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure I've heard Jen say that she feels that's a good idea as well. But but my point is, I think her voice is going to be extremely helpful in this process. I'll be looking forward to hearing her, to the extent she wants to opine on her opinions Tuesday night, that, you know, to participate. I hope that she does, because I think, you know, my view would be, we need to really get opinion from her, and also pursuant to your bullet point here, the new superintendent, Dr. Fortuna. I think, you know, the wild card here is the school space in Ritter. You know, we got all the way down the process, and I understand that it's not ideal the way it is now, but we spent, and this is my view, and it might not be fair, but from my standpoint, we spent 5 years developing a plan where the school department essentially said, we got to be co-located, we got to be co-located, we got to be co-located. This committee pushing back. Nope, we got to be co-located, we got to be co-located. We came up with a plan where they're co-located, and then a month before we were ready to present it to the board, they announced that they suddenly found space in Turkey Hill for their offices. Now, I know it's a bigger discussion, but it just didn't play well. So, I don't know. Maybe maybe the new school superintendent and the new school board has a different thought on that. So I mean, I think that we should engage that too. I think we should re-engage in that too, and thoughtfully think about that. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be co-located. I'm not the expert. I'm just, this board spent a lot of time talking with the former superintendent about this over the past 4 or 5 years as we were developing the program. And, you know, and then the fact of the matter is now we're at a different, you know, we're at a different spot. So I think that those two voices, you know, those are big, influential positions here, the town manager and the superintendent, that are brand new. So I think that we should really engage both of those, because I think they're both, I don't know the new superintendent at all. I haven't observed her much past her interview, but my sense is she's going to be a good voice too. So.
Right. Well, as a manager, you want to have some input
Sure.
for your team, right?
Yeah, but
For
even
some
but even beyond it, I just looking at the caliber of those two people, I
Yes.
just think they're going to be good value adds to this process. I think they both have a way of thinking through that I think will be very helpful. So I think we should endeavor to really engage with those two folks, especially.
Yeah, we have to understand, is this a need or a want? I mean, the discussion has been, well, we would like to have everything there. Is that a need, or just, it would be nice, it would be good, we want it? So we have to, so maybe these two people, the new town manager and the new superintendent, have their say in that, and we can at least know their opinion on it. It could have a big effect on the cost. It could be a smaller addition or to Ritter, which would drive the cost down, which would make it more palatable to the community, and give us more money, more debt that we can use for other projects like, Turkey Hill and others.
Yep, agree.
And, I think talking about the debt, the other thing that I was disappointed that we didn't do, and I guess, it was in the spirit of things happen fast as we were closing up the architectural process and getting ready for town meeting. We didn't have a lot of time for community outreach. But the other thing we didn't talk about at all was the possible hit to the taxpayer. And how it aligns with the other possible projects. I think that analysis was done. I think that the chair of the finance committee was prepared to share a slide or two on the town meeting floor to talk about how this project fit in pretty well actually with our current debt service at this particular point in time, and we didn't do it.
Yeah, I would
And
agree.
I think that would
The finance
that would have been
part
helpful.
thing
Right.
at the town meeting. I felt like I want to push back a little bit on the community outreach because I really feel like the presentation that Michael Ray did was very in-depth, covered
Oh,
all
yeah.
of it, because literally the voter was right there listening to all of it. They could answer questions, ask questions.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like the community outreach was there in the meeting, and that's why I think the vote was so close. And I think that's
Yeah,
also
you're right.
why the vote later on at the ballot was so poor, because they didn't have that presentation. They didn't watch that presentation, even though it was on YouTube.
So, and by the way, the vote at the ballot, I'll claim myself. I didn't even bother to turn the ballot over to vote because I thought town meeting canceled it. So I didn't even I didn't think it was necessary to vote because it was a done deal type of thing.
And
I think a lot of people came into that meeting with their mind made up.
they did.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I do know of at least one person who changed their mind after seeing that presentation and voted yes. But I think a lot of people already came in with their mind made up about it.
Correct. But
Correct.
I do believe that, seeing is believing, right? Even if the idea was allowing people to see the conditions that everybody else doesn't see behind the wall does a lot. If they say, if only 3 people want to show up, they're still going to talk about it among friends, type of thing. And I think that has a lot to do with it. We don't have that. And even if it was one of those a day in the life of getting a permit in the old life, where you had to go to one building, go to the other building to pay, go back to the first building to now go get your permit, would have been fun to do in the winter. Like just showing somebody trying to cross that street and how much time it takes to do that. Like finding somebody of advanced age like myself, like sitting there struggling through this whole process. But anyway, that's the sentiments that we have.
What was great community outreach was simply the fact that when you did offer a long time ago, you guys offered tours of town hall and the old school building,
Yes.
on School Street. Simply the fact that it said, if you want to go on this tour, you have to wear the suit and the face mask and you have to sign a waiver. That alone sent such a good, I didn't go on the tour because I didn't want to wear the mask and sign the waiver and climb through whatever that was. But knowing that I didn't want to go in that building, it sends a very concrete message to people.
Gotcha.
So maybe even offering something like that again, like why don't we go to the basement of town hall and see what it looks like?
Right.
And those are I want to be clear. Michael Ray did an outstanding presentation. I want to be very clear. That was a fantastic presentation. And Brian did a great job evangelizing this thing on Facebook. I'm not trying to say that we didn't do any public outreach. The kinds of things I'm talking about are having some public forums in the senior center, at the library, 3 to 4 of them, where we're presenting what we're going to present at town meeting and getting feedback from the community. And when we stand up at the town and doing tours of the buildings and that kind of thing, all the things that we wanted to do, but quite frankly, we just didn't have time because it was a compressed schedule. And that's what I'm referring to. So when you stand up on the town meeting floor, you can even bolster the presentation that we had by saying we did a public forum on this date and this date and this date and this date and a tour here and a tour here. And then everybody can look at themselves and saying, oh yeah, I remember they said that and I didn't attend. But that's not our fault.
Right.
Because the
No.
fact of the matter is, you know very well, we're gonna post public forums on these things. We're gonna get 10 people there. You know,
Yep.
and you hope to get more, but you're gonna get a subset of the people that you want. But I'm just saying that's what I mean when I want to be clear. I wasn't trying to knock anybody that we did, you know, that the things that we did were fine. I think that everybody, if we're honest, was hopeful that we could have done a more robust public meeting, public outreach campaign.
Exactly.
It's important too, because I remember my initial issue with way back when did you, the TC, one of the TC Passios plans, like one of the initial ones was, when did this become the plan? When was their input given? When was there a survey done? Like, when did you ask the community what they were looking for? And it felt a little like it was just suddenly appeared. And I think giving the public the chance to give input would go a long way towards making them feel invested in the process.
Understand.
Yeah, the
Okay.
problem we have with that is we kind of get our stopping orders from somebody.
Yep.
And we put an RFP out for hundreds of thousands of dollars for a design architect. We just don't have the opportunity to say, well, you know, do you want to do this 180,000? You know what I mean? We can't. We kind of have to be down the road a piece when we've done this. The opportunity to involve the public into what's going to be the plan is sort of. I wish it was the purview of our board, I guess maybe, but it's really,
Yeah.
you know.
At what
But
stage
it's
does
one of
that
those
come
hard
in?
things.
Is that like an initial stage? Because you've done this before.
Yeah, I've done it. Yeah, so like when I got involved in 2019, when the select board started this committee, it was we're forming this committee and we're going to renovate TCP for town, school, and for town hall, school, and town uses. Do it. That was the plan. Here's the money. Here's the architect. Here's the money. This is what we're doing.
Right.
And so, you know,
and we did solicit input from
a lot of
groups, had a lot of
Yeah.
groups come to present at our meetings and things like that. And at the end, we had to make tough decisions as to which folks got what square footage in what would be the new TC Passios. Well, in the new Passios. And it was some tough decisions made there, but even so.
It was a lot of, but what I mean is there wasn't the opportunity at that point in the game to ask the public, you know, do you want to do it renovation at TCP or do you want to renovate town hall and put it over? That decision was made for us and the funding was in place with an architect that we couldn't really change. You see what I'm saying? And that seems like that's the way it kind of is.
Of the committee members. I'm not saying there's like a failure that happened here.
No. I know. It's just one of the hard part.
It's more, I think that would help us in the future if people felt heard or listened to, but you cannot make everyone happy.
Correct. And as
it's one of those hard things.
And the other side of that is like, look, we've all been to town. We're all the folks that are showing up at town meetings. You know how many people are at town meeting for an average town meeting. So that's going to be the same 200 people voicing their opinion. And you're going to have 22,000 people that say, you didn't ask me. Well, we did ask you. You just chose not to show up, that type of thing. Because I thought there was a survey actually done at one point. There was when it came to Passios, or even when it came to this Ritter.
Well, I actually emailed a while ago because that had been mentioned at a select board meeting that we surveyed the public and the Passios plan was what they wanted. So I emailed to ask for the results of that survey, and the answer I got was no such survey had been given.
Okay.
I think that could be true. Yeah.
All right. So I believe that we have, you know, as I said, I'd like to be able to just kind of throw these minutes up in front of them on Tuesday and then just ask, and then just have us sit back and listen to a discussion of what they think. And in the end, it's going to be up to, you know, we're the charter or the BOS. So it's whatever the select board decides is going to be what we have to do. But this is just, as we look back at this project and we reflect back on the work we did for the past years, months and years, this is, I think, what we got out of that. Are we okay with that?
I think my point was go to the Board of Selectmen for their opinion on how we should move forward. I think that was my bullet.
Yeah.
And I stand by it. I think we should go in there with hat in hand, like what, here we are. What do you want to,
Should the superintendent be part of this too? If we're gonna have this discussion, should we ask to see, and maybe the school committee could have her there with to understand what it is to be, because if we come back and say, well, I wonder what the superintendent thinks, we'll have the superintendent there.
Yeah,
I know it's.
So-
I know
I
it's,
mean, my sense is, I'll default to Laura on that, but my sense is she's probably drinking from a fire hose at the moment, but.
I know, yeah, I know. But
Yeah,
I mean,
I
that
I was
Go ahead.
planning on calling her, having a conversation about basically, what do you want? Now that you've been here a week, what are you seeing?
Right.
But if you want her there,
Well, she could always join via the Zoom side of things.
I was
He
thinking.
wants to.
And even if it's just more of just to listen.
Yep.
To hear what the thoughts are coming across and help as we go forward. And, if nothing else, she's got to get a sentiment of what's going, at least get the sentiment of what's going on and what might be happening.
I guess I would encourage us to invite her.
Yes,
No,
yeah,
maybe not, maybe that's it.
I think it really
Okay.
still comes down to the select board, and I think even in our conversations with the select board, it's like, we need to have this dual meeting to figure out what the next steps are. So I think both committees are kind of on the same page of, we need to meet and figure this out, what the next steps are.
Yep.
are we meeting before the meeting?
No, we're meeting at 7. We're not going to meet before, but at 7:20, we are on the agenda for the select board meeting,
Posted meeting.
for the posted meeting.
In
So-
person?
Yeah, you could be on Zoom if you want. Okay,
I plan to be there in person, just to let everybody know. I think I'm off that night. So I'll be there.
I'm cleaning my shirt and finding a new tie for this thing.
oh, wow.
I'll be there in person.
No more short. You can't wear shorts either.
Yeah, well, I could do shorts too, because they can film me only from the top up, that type of
That's
thing.
true.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
no problem there. But yes, if you can make it, great. If not, no problem there.
I am probably not going to be able to make it because I'm going to be away, but if I can zoom in, I will try to do that.
Okay, thanks, Tom. You got it. All right. And by the way, looking at sentiment, I'm not, I get a feeling that this committee's down to this in a way right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
I haven't reached out to the planning board. I haven't reached out to, others, but I get the feeling that we're down, we would have to be getting a new charge as far as members and things like that. So.
We can ask that question on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Do we want, if the plan is we're going to continue, do we add new members?
And my feeling is that, and I've discussed this because of the same thing with the green, is that I think the 2 facilities managers need to be part of this group in a lot of respects, whether they make every meeting, whether they or something, but they need to have an understanding of what this group is doing. Because it affects them the most, the 2 facilities guys. So they should be part of this in a lot of respects.
Mhm.
All right, guys. Do we need to keep going, or you okay with having some time back to your family?
I gotta go to a planning board meeting, so.
Oh, how exciting. In
No
Lunenburg?
prep for
No,
that.
not in Lunenburg?
No, it's
Yeah.
Littleton tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I get
Exciting as
the-
that is.
I got the finance committee at 7, so I gotta scoot down there.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Passios, you joined. Was there anything you wanted to add, or are you okay?
No, what I've got to say, you guys don't want to hear, so I'll keep it to myself. Thank you.
Dave, I had the pleasure of camping up in Dolly Cop this weekend, and I was thinking about you as I was driving through Jefferson.
Oh, excellent. We're finally getting some half decent weather up here.
It was a nice weekend. Yeah. It was a
Yeah,
nice
if you ever
weekend.
get a chance, stop in right across from the waterway
should.
on Route 2.
All right. Oh, I drove right by you. The
Yep.
Water Wheel Restaurant? Oh, okay. I didn't know that's where you were. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Now I got a mental note. I got it.
Take care, folks.
All right, thanks, Dave.
Bye, Dave.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 6:18 PM.
All right.
Second.
So I got- Okay, roll call vote. Laura?
Yeah.
Okay, Tom,
Aye.
Greg,
Bye.
Brian?
Mm.
Aye, and an aye for me. Guys, thanks again and look forward to seeing, hearing, or doing something with you guys on Tuesday.
Night.
All right,
Bye.
good night.
Right.